So how's it going, everyone? I decided to go live today because it's been a while since I've done these, and I promise that I'll do these more often. So I decided to do it today. So ask me anything. You guys are free to ask me anything. And yeah, I really like the engagement on the last live stream where we got close to 20 viewers during at its peak, which was quite amazing. We had a really good discussion and I enjoyed it. I promise I'll do more. Here I am. I decided to do it today. So you guys could ask me anything, and yeah, even if it's not weather related. So right now in the Midwest, there's a pretty significant severe weather threat going on. I know right around the Memphis area, especially, there were numerous tornado reports, and there are tornado warnings going on right now. I'm wishing the best for those in the Midwest because, of course, this is one of the more significant severe weather threats, and unfortunately, this definitely won't be the last, most likely. There's going to be plenty of instability. We're still in the neutral phase, not necessarily an El Nino just yet. So we're going to still feel a little bit more instability than you would expect, considering that we're approaching an El Nino. So that's only something to keep in mind that we're probably going to see more of these severe weather threats in the future. So Okay, so far I got no viewers, but anyone who tunes in, thank you for watching. I noticed that like my engagement with this channel as soon as the winter ended just like fell off a cliff. I'm sure many of you guys watch my channel mainly for the winter storms and yeah, like I'm not expecting as much viewers as last time. Probably not up to 20, but yeah, anyone who shows up, I'm super thankful and thank you for watching. So yeah, this severe weather probably gonna continue all spring long. Um, the instability is certainly going to be there with the neutral phase, and then moving on to the summer. I did make my summer forecast just a few days ago, where I was expecting that most of the United States will be warmer than average because the sea surf temperatures are warmer than average, as on the Atlantic side at least. So already that will lead to warmer temperatures, especially along the coast, and also due to the fact that we're seeing a little bit of a drought in the Midwest, so there should be a pretty big ridge parked right over the Midwest. So the temperature should be warmer because dry soil heats up a lot faster than moist soil. So we should see temperatures much warmer than average in that area. And um, as for the Northeast and the Eastern half, it's definitely more uncertain forecasting in summer because during an El Nino phase, which is expected to come through during the summer, an El Nino phase doesn't necessarily really bring those doesn't really have a major effect in the summer because even during the La Nina phase, jet stream is relegated well to the north of the United States to really make that much of a major impact. So it's unlikely that we're gonna um, feel the effects of an El Nino during the summer months because the jet stream is so far north, anyways, whether it's an El Nino or not. So it's more difficult to forecast summer unless we're relatively close. But take my forecast with a grain of salt. It's definitely subject to change. So keep that in mind as well. But yeah, guys, anyone that's tuning in, ask me anything. It doesn't need to be weather related. I love engaging with you guys. And I really enjoyed the engagement on the last live stream. Yeah, just ask me anything. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Wow, it's super quiet when it comes to engagement. Been hovering right around one viewer for the most part. Yeah, it's been a little slow when it comes to engagement ever since the winter came through, but yeah, it's all right. I know people pay attention more to like the winter weather stuff. And the engagement should go up a little bit during the hurricane season. That's typically when I do get a little bit more engagement, but but I feel like most of my audience is more into like the winter weather stuff. And of course, winter is over. And yeah, it was quite a quiet winter, especially for the Northeast. The Midwest did receive a decent winter, but there's was just a big ridge parked over the eastern half of the United States. So the pretty much we only got one major snowstorm in the New York City metropolitan area, which happened, I'm pretty sure, February 28th, and that dumped around 5 inches of snow in my area. So it was a pretty sizable snowstorm. I'm not. I actually didn't check how much snow fell in New York City. I'm definitely sure more than an inch fell, potentially maybe more than 2 inches. I don't know if it got up to 5 inches like in my area because I live more in the northwestern portion, the more suburban area of New Jersey. So of course the temperature is a little bit cooler. The accumulation is higher in that area. So I'm not entirely sure that New York City got the same amount of snow as we did because the temperature is of course warmer in the cities. But yeah, that was pretty much New York City's only major snowstorm where over an inch of snow fell. And Philadelphia, I'm not even sure if they received over an inch of snow for the entirety of the winter. I need to check that out. Yeah, but super quiet winter if you weren't in the at least if you weren't in the interior Northeast or the Midwest. The East Coast just missed out on a lot of pretty big snowstorms thanks to that very powerful ridge. And in terms of hurricane season, I did make my hurricane season video yesterday. So I'm expecting this hurricane season to be around average and El Nino phase should take over. So of course that should bring more stability, more wind shear to the Atlantic, but at the same time, we're gonna see more a warmer than average sea surface temperatures. So I think that will balance the fact that it's going to be a little bit more stable in the Atlantic this hurricane season. So I do expect the hurricane season to fall more closer to average. It won't be as active as the three previous hurricane seasons, I'll say, and potentially even four. 2019 was was a more active year than usual, if I remember correctly. So I don't expect it to be toward are at around those magnitudes of hurricane seasons. So it's definitely a well relief. It's been quite a while since we've experienced a hurricane season that was at least slightly below average, and this hurricane season might be it because of an El Nino that's expected to build. So it's about time we have a weaker than average hurricane season because we just been getting pounded by tons of tropical cyclones, unfortunately, over the past several years. And it felt like that almost every year, like a borderline category 5 hurricane would make landfall in the United States. Of course, the 2022 hurricane season was Hurricane Ian, which made landfall at 150 miles per hour in southwestern Florida, right around Fort Myers. And then 2021, Hurricane Ida made landfall as again a borderline category 5 hurricane. I think it was 155 or 145 when it made landfall, somewhere between that, but it was definitely a borderline category 5 hurricane when it made landfall in Louisiana, bringing a ton of devastation and brought a surprising amount of devastation to New Jersey and New York as well, where it just brought us a crazy flash flooding threat over there. And then going to 2020, we of course had Hurricane Laura, which again made landfall in Louisiana, western Louisiana, where it made landfall at 150 miles per hour, I'm pretty sure, in western Louisiana. Again, a borderline category 5 hurricane. And then in 2019, did we have a borderline category 5 hurricane make landfall? I know Hurricane Dorian existed in 2019, but it didn't but it Florida dodged a huge bullet with that because Hurricane Dorian was at 180 miles per hour, and not only that, it was slow moving. It was stationary for like 24 straight hours, which was just crazy. Like how like how devastating it was, man. Imagine just a 180-mile-per-hour hurricane just parked over the same area for 24 hours and then slowly moves away. Imagine if that impacted Florida. That would have been devastating. Unfortunately, it devastated the Bahamas. But in terms of borderline Category 5 hurricane making landfall in 2019, I don't think there was. I think Dorian was a close call, but that might have been the only year where a Category 4 or close to Category 5 hurricane didn't make landfall in the United States. And then 2018, of course, we had Hurricane Michael, which made landfall. Um, it was initially um, it was initially a category thought to be a Category 4 when it made landfall, 155 miles per hour, but then it got updated after surveying the damage, where now they consider it to make landfall at Category 5 strength at 160 miles per hour, right around Mexico Beach and Panama City, Florida, towards northwestern Florida. And that was definitely quite devastating as well. And then 2017, we had Hurricane Harvey as well, which was a Category 4 at landfall. So my point is that over the past several years, it's just been rough when it comes to major hurricane landfalls because before 2017, I pictured that as rare when I started focusing on the weather. Because I started paying attention to the weather right around 2009. So, oh, how's it going? Cool. 81 Cat. Thank you for tuning in. Been a while since we talked. Um, but yeah, like ever since oh yeah, and by the way, you're free to ask me anything. I love any discussion. It doesn't need to be weather related. Feel free to ask me anything. I love discussing, having a conversation with you guys. So yeah, don't hesitate to ask if you're curious about anything. But yeah, like ever since I've been paying close attention to the weather, starting from 2009 till 2017, was there ever a major hurricane actually that made landfall in the United States between the hurricane season of 2009 to 2000? There had to be one. 2017, let me think. 2009 was very quiet. I don't think there was a hurricane that made landfall in the United States from what I remember. I remember Tropical Storm Danny was um impacted the Northeast pretty closely. In 2010, I think it was in 2010 was an active hurricane season, but didn't bring much impactful landfalls in the United States. We had Hurricane Earl, but it just brushed the Outer Banks of North Carolina, not really bringing much damage. And 2010, yeah, I don't remember like any significant hurricanes. Well, there was Hurricane Alex early in the season, but that didn't make landfall in the United States, and that was a Category 1 hurricane, but it still brushed Texas. But yeah, from what I remember, I don't remember like uh, a major hurricane making landfall in 2010, even a regular hurricane making landfall in 2010. So yeah, 2010, there was really nothing. 2011, I think the big one, of course, was Hurricane Irene, but it didn't make landfall as a major hurricane. It made landfall in North Carolina at 85 miles per hour as a Category 1, but Hurricane Irene was also very large in its wind field. So it was more impactful, at least for the Carolinas and Virginia, when it came to the exact scope. The damage was definitely more than what you'd expect for Category 1 hurricane. Then it later made landfall in New Jersey as a tropical storm, initially thought to be a hurricane, but then they revised it, saying it made landfall as a 70-mile-per-hour tropical storm, and then made landfall in New York City as a 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm. And outside of flooding, the hurricane didn't live up to expectations in the Northeast. I lived through Wilma in 2005, lost power for 2 weeks, trees down all over, and that was in South Florida. Oh yeah, Wilma was definitely a super impactful storm, and it happened towards the latter half of the hurricane season as well in October. It devastated Cancun, and it moved quickly. I know towards southwestern Florida in right around October, and I think Wilma at one point peaked at its intensity at 205 miles per hour, and I'm pretty sure that was that might be the record when it comes to the most the strongest hurricane when it comes to sheer wind speed, which it is quite insane. Thankfully, it wasn't close to that when it made landfall in Mexico or in Florida, but it was still very impactful. We hardly had a warning. They said they were saying a possible one, but it was more like a four. I think it made landfall as a three in Florida. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, like it made sense why there wasn't that much of a warning. It moved very quickly, and yeah, it was more unpredictable because it moved very quickly. It was a later hurricane. Actually, let me search it up when where exactly what strength Hurricane Wilma made landfall at. Hurricane Wilma in Florida. We see. Wow, its lowest millibar pressure was 882. That's crazy. Okay, yeah, it made landfall in Florida as 120 mile per hour category 3 hurricane. So yeah, soup, that's pretty powerful. Thankfully, it moved relatively quick. Because if it moved slower, it would have brought more devastating impacts, but it was still very impactful. You can't underestimate a category 3 at all, whether it moves fast or slow. But yeah, that was just like one of many powerful hurricanes that impacted the U.S. in 2005. And oh man, this video is super laggy. I'm hope. Let me close this tab. Hopefully that helps with the lag. But yeah, the 2005 hurricane season, I still consider it the most devastating and definitely the worst hurricane season. In terms of the amount of storms, man, it's still super laggy. I'm gonna need to close another tab. Hopefully, maybe I should pause it if it doesn't get any better. Our whole parking lot cover blew down, and my side. Oh man, that's insane. Yeah, Hurricane Wilma was super powerful. 120 miles per hour, category 3. Like major hurricanes you can't underestimate at all. Even like I know a lot of like Floridians would underestimate uh what you'd see during category 3 hurricane. But category 3s are they're considered major hurricanes for a reason. But that's insane. Cool cat. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Um, and thank you for tuning in to this live stream. You're free to ask me anything. I love having a discussion with you guys about anything. Doesn't need to be weather related, but thank you, Sandra, for all your support. You've been on. It seems like you've been on this channel for a while. So yeah, guys, I emphasize thank you for all the support you guys have given me over the past pretty much 2.5 years I've been doing this. Thank you guys. Because without you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. I do it for you guys. I just love helping people make decisions when it comes to like science related issues. And I'm happy to help a lot of you guys regarding weather forecasting. And it just definitely like makes me happy to know that I help so many people. But But yeah, the 2005 hurricane season, definitely the most active. Definitely the worst one. The 2020 hurricane season was definitely more active when it comes to the amount of storms that developed, but not a ton of those storms made land. Well, I'll say a decent amount of them, but the 2020 hurricane season, yeah, it wasn't as impactful, and for two reasons. Because for one thing is that we didn't have as many landfalls, I'm pretty sure, compared to the 2005 hurricane season. And also, a lot of the hurricanes didn't impact the larger population areas, because when we're talking about the 2005 hurricane season, Katrina hit right at the heart of New Orleans and Mississippi, a highly populated area. We, of course, had Hurricane Rita impact the metropolitan area of Houston. We had Hurricane Wilma impact southwestern Florida, pretty populated over there as well. And there were definitely other hurricanes. There was Hurricane Ophelia, which impacted the Carolinas. And I think I'm definitely forgetting a big hurricane. Which I'm 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 probably like I can't. There are other hurricanes, but I can't think of them right at the top of my head. But yeah, in terms of landfalls, I think the 2005 hurricane season, it made it the worst hurricane season. Thank you, Cool Cat, for all of your support. When do you think Long Island will get another hurricane? Haven't gotten one in a while, so it's very difficult to say. So I live in New Jersey, so I'm not very far from you, Kevin. 2001. So pretty much last hurricane impacted us. What it was Hurricane Sandy, which was 2012, almost 11 years ago. So it has been a while. We have had several tropical cyclones move through the Northeast. We, of course, had Tropical Storm Isaias, which moved through New Jersey at around 65, 70 miles per hour. And it was pretty impactful. We did have a lot of power outages, but the center of the eye was very inland. But in terms of when the next hurricane will impact Long Island, I'll say this year, it's less likely this year because we're in an El Nino, so there's going to be, of course, less tropical cyclones to the that will develop, and and that means less opportunities for tropical cyclones to move up the northeast coast and into Long Island. So I will say it's less likely this year, but most likely, if a tropical cyclone were to impact Long Island, it will be during a La Nina year, which probably won't happen until it's hard to really predict, but it won't happen at the earliest. Maybe hurricane season 2024, but I'll lean more towards hurricane season 2025. Oh yeah, Hurricane Andrew was definitely super bad. Made landfall, I think, at 160 miles per hour. I'm pretty sure. Super bad for southern Florida, and I think that if Hurricane Andrew hit today, with inflation and stuff, and how much more developed southern Florida is, it would have probably been like top five when it comes to the most costliest disasters in U.S. history. There are several disasters up there. So number one is Hurricane Katrina. Number two is Hurricane Harvey. I think Hurricane Andrew would have been right around that area when it comes to the amount of devastation if it were to hit today, with when we take into regard of inflation, as well as the higher amount of development there's been in southern Florida. It would have it's definitely one of the worst hurricanes still in United States history. Hurricane Andrew, yeah, it hit in Homestead, Florida. So just south of Miami, but Miami still got impacted very, very bad by Hurricane Andrew. Happened in 1992. I'm August 24th, 1992. I'm pretty sure. So around almost 31 years ago. Been Yeah, it's been a while, but one of the worst storms in United States history easily. Well, yeah, in terms of this hurricane season, I expect mainly an average hurricane season thanks to an El Nino. And typically during El Nino, we see less hurricanes and storms than usual. But since due to the fact that during an El that the sea surface temperatures will be warmer than average, I think that will balance it out. So we'll see an average amount of tropical cyclones, and I think the areas that will be the most at risk this hurricane season, at least when it comes to hurricane landfalls, will be the southeast coast facing the Atlantic. I don't expect as much storms to develop or at least move towards the western Gulf of Mexico because the wind shear will be stronger. So it's going to be tougher for storms to move westward against that westerly shear. So we're going to see more storms move further eastward. So maybe that could raise the potential that a storm could move up the northeast coast. Really, all depends on how strong this ridge is. Of course, this winter we saw a very strong ridge, and if that were to continue, then that would certainly raise the possibility of a tropical cyclone moving up the northeast coast because that ridge would definitely force the storms further westward towards the northeast. But we're gonna need to wait and see because it's very difficult to forecast where exactly that Bermuda high will be located and the exact strength of that Bermuda high. What's the worst storm, snow or rain that I've ever experienced? So the worst storm that I've experienced easily was Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy brought the strongest winds I've ever experienced in my life. I remember the night of Hurricane Sandy, the winds were just crazy. The winds were gusting, I estimated anywhere between 70 to 80 miles per hour at night, and it lasted for several hours too. And the trees, the tr- the way the trees bent during Hurricane Sandy, it was just mind blowing to me. Never saw winds like that in my entire life. Definitely the worst storm I've experienced. The power went out temporarily for me. My shed broke in my backyard completely. It wasn't even not damaged, but completely broke due to the strong winds. And yeah, so many trees down. So a large area of power outages. Definitely the worst storm I've ever experienced, mainly because of the wind. At least in my area, Hurricane Sandy didn't bring that much rain. Actually, I was in northern New Jersey. Most of the rain was relegated southward towards Maryland, Delaware, southern New Jersey, and southern Pennsylvania. So I only received around an inch of rain from Hurricane Sandy, but so the flooding wasn't that. At least the river flooding wasn't that bad. In at least in northern New Jersey for Hurricane Sandy, but the winds were just insane. Yeah, definitely the worst storm I've experienced in my life. In terms of my second worst storm, I've experienced quite a bit. I also drove into Connecticut during Hurricane Henri. I've experienced the remnants of Ida when it moved through New Jersey, brought some of the worst flooding in my life. And well, definitely the worst flooding in my life, I'll say, because I didn't experience Hurricane Irene in New Jersey. I was on a cruise the week Hurricane Irene hit New Jersey, so I didn't get to experience that flooding. But even from what I heard with Hurricane Irene and how much flooding it brought to the Northeast, the Hurricane Ida was, in my opinion, I think it was worse. And I think part of the reason was that it brought more flash flooding, and it was definitely like not people weren't prepared definitely anywhere close to they were as Hurricane Irene, because I think a lot of the forecast channels didn't really emphasize how bad the flooding with Hurricane Ida would be. And so a lot of people went outside unprepared, and unfortunately, a lot of people lost their lives in New Jersey. I think the death toll was 32, which was fairly close to Hurricane Sandy's death toll in New Jersey, which was close to 40. So Hurricane Ida, I'll say, yeah, it's probably the second worst storm I've experienced. There are also snowstorms that are up there as well. Power went out for 10 days. Wow, that's insane. Thankfully, I wasn't hit as bad with power outages. I only lost power for a day and that was it. So thankfully, it wasn't I didn't experience the worst of the power outages. And yeah, same with me. Pretty much every tree was down throughout northern New Jersey during Hurricane Sandy. It was every house, pretty much every I think everyone experienced at least some sort of damage with Hurricane Sandy when it comes to their home. I certainly experienced it. Part of um, what's crazy also is that part of like the shingles in my roof also fell off, which is insane because that's simply what you see along the coast where the winds are the strongest. But I'm far from the coast. I'm like 40 miles away from the beach, and I still the winds were still strong enough to blow some of the shingles off of my roof down, and yeah, it was definitely soup. Hurricane Sandy was definitely, I'll say, the worst storm I've ever experienced. Hurricane Ida is up there too, as well as what else did I experience? There was Winter Storm Jonas was definitely one of the worst storms as well. During Winter Storm Jonas, it snowed right around it snowed 28 inches in my area, and it was just crazy because it was just straight heavy snow all day, just straight blizzard conditions. Well, I did experience something close to that with Winter Storm. With what was the name of that winter storm? I just know it happened in February 2nd, 2021. That winter storm that impacted the Northeast. That was the closest. I was in the Poconos as well that weekend, and I experienced over 3 feet of snow and straight blizzard conditions for days. Yeah, that was bad too. Yeah, I was out for school for a week too. Me too, as well. Just I had no school for the entire week when Hurricane Sandy hit, which yeah, that's pretty insane for school to be out for an entire week. That's crazy. So, that mini earthquake in 2011. So, I was in New Jersey, but the thing was that I didn't feel it because I was in the upper floor of my house, but my parents that were downstairs, they felt it, but I was upstairs, so I guess I didn't get to feel it. And plus, I was moving around, so I wasn't like sitting down, like feeling like the vibrations of the floor necessarily, or so I didn't really experience it, but yeah, so I I still have yet to experience a real earthquake. I've been going to the West Coast more often, so that certainly will raise a chance I will experience a lighter earthquake. So that's gonna be something. So that's gonna be something that I still need to experience. Yeah, Orlena, that was the name of that winter storm. Yeah, I was near Mount Pocono where they experienced 38 inches of snow, and it just straight snowed from Sunday through the entire day on Monday and most of the day on Tuesday, which, yeah, definitely that was up there with one of the worst storms I've ever experienced. Yeah, that was an insane snowstorm. Oh, you were in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina? I feel like Myrtle Beach, I feel like Myrtle Beach should have felt it because I know the epicenter of the earthquake happened was right at was right around Western Virginia, and I think Myrtle Beach it would be around the same distance. So maybe it did hit Myrtle Beach, but maybe you just didn't feel it potentially. Um Okay, yeah, that would make sense because I'd feel like Myrtle Beach would have experienced an earthquake because it isn't that far from West Virginia, and if anything, like it was definitely um closer to where the epicenter was, at least compared to New Jersey. But yeah, still I've yet to experience an earthquake. Hopefully, it does. Hopefully, the earthquake I experienced, of course, isn't devastating, but at least like I want to at least experience it just for a little bit. Yeah, we'll see what the Earth has in store for us when it comes to earthquakes in the future. Um, and also never experienced a tornado. We've have had several tornadoes move through New Jersey. We had one relatively recently. We had one in late February. There was a tornado that moved through central New Jersey, but I was in northern New Jersey. And of course, I think in any given lifetime, especially if you live in the Northeast, it's super rare to actually see a tornado, and tornadoes typically happen in the less populated areas of the United States. So anyone really, so to see a tornado in any given day, that's pretty rare, I'll say for the most part. So if I want to see a tornado, I'll probably would need to chase it, but it is dangerous. I wouldn't recommend it. We'll see if I actually do go chase a tornado in the future. But yeah, I'll definitely need to keep myself safe because tornadoes are definitely something I don't want to underestimate just because I want to experience it. So yeah, never experienced an earthquake, a tornado, tsunami. Of course, hope I don't want to experience a tsunami at all. I could live my life happily without experiencing a tsunami. Personally speaking, yeah, I don't want to see a tsunami at all. Um, what else? I've experienced hail, but the hail in New Jersey, it doesn't get any more bigger than it doesn't get any bigger than dime size hail in New Jersey. Um, of course, because in New Jersey there isn't as much lift and instability as much as there is in the Midwest for tornadoes to occur like that. Um, so um, so yeah, to experience a really big hail, I would need to go to the Midwest as well. But I've experienced hail before. Um, what else? Oh, we gave you a hailstorm in Pennsylvania. Oh yeah, that severe weather outbreak for the Northeast sort of came out of nowhere because it wasn't necessarily forecasted to be that severe, but it produced a whole tornado in central New Jersey. So that was definitely a pretty big surprise, and like you said, a hailstorm in Pennsylvania. So that was a pretty big surprise when it came out of nowhere, that severe weather outbreaks. Did I enjoy this winter? So this winter I wanted more snowstorms. Wow, Baltimore only got less than an inch of snow, almost a quarter of an inch. That's insane. But yeah, like I definitely wanted more snow this winter. Because winter, in my opinion, just doesn't just looking outside without the snowfall, it just doesn't look appealing. Because in my opinion, like the whole purpose to get excited for the winter is for the snow. But when there's no snow outside and all we see is dead grass and trees, it just looks ugly, to be honest. I want to see some snow. And we only really got one big snowstorm this year in northern New Jersey, which did like make me happy, but I was still hoping for more snowstorms. I think in total this year, at least in my era, we maybe only experienced 7 to 8 inches of snow. So definitely well below average. The long-term average of snowfall this year was 25 inches, and we only experienced eight, being generous. So yeah, very weak winter. I wanted more snowstorms, definitely. But that southeast ridge was just too strong, bro. southerly winds that were too strong, so the temperatures were way too warm for much snow to occur in northern New Jersey this winter and in much of the northeast coastal areas in general. You only saw 5.9 inches. Yeah, I experienced a similar amount. Yeah, just a super, super quiet winter this year. I don't think it was as quiet as the 2020 winter, the 2019-2020 winter, because that winter was super, super quiet. Um but yeah, it was definitely one of the more quiet, the probably in my lifetime of experiencing weather from 2009 up until now. This is probably the second worst winter when it comes to snowfall I've ever experienced, and in New York City as well. I think for a while it was historically the least snowiest winter on record, and we in New York City, it they experienced the longest time during the winter where they didn't experience any snowfall accumulation. It took until February 2nd of this year for them to experience their first snowfall accumulation, which beat the record that occurred in January, where the previous latest first snowfall accumulation occurred in January 29th, 1973. So that is definitely quite insane that how quiet this winter was. Definitely a huge anomaly. Wow, Philadelphia didn't even get a dusting. That's crazy. You guys were pretty close with that bigger snowstorm that impacted New York City and New Jersey, but the rain snow line was just to the north of you guys who really experienced any snowfall from that storm. So yeah, unfortunately, much of Northeast missed out completely on winter storms. Hopefully, next winter, the winter will be better when it comes to snowstorms moving through. Will we have a cold spring? Um, so I did make my spring forecast a couple of videos ago, and I think that the eastern half of the United States will experience a warmer spring because we're gonna the sea surf temperatures are warmer than average, and plus we've been having this ridge parked over the eastern half of the United States pretty much the duration of the winter time. So I expect those warm temperatures to continue around northeast coast into the spring. And typically during a neutral phase, we don't see the jet stream dip as far and we're approaching El Nino as well. So I expect the jet stream to be a little bit further northward this time around. For this to be a warmer spring, which yeah, I'll appreciate a warmer spring because the thing about me is that during a typical season, I want the most of what you'd expect that season. Like for the winter time, I'd want the most snowfall, but during the springtime when we're approaching summer, I want it to be the warmest because at that point my mind is set to go outdoors to enjoy the warmer temperatures by the time we approach spring because summer is coming soon. So even though I did want the most snow during the winter, my mindset is already focused on spring and getting higher temperatures for spring. And even same goes for the summer. I personally love 80 to 90-degree weather days. I love the heat. And that's part of the reason why I'm a huge fan of the beach. Because when the temperatures are really high, that's my perfect temperature to go to the beach. So yeah, during the summer, I want it to be as warm as possible as well. During the fall, I'll say during the fall, I like average conditions for the most part, not too warm, not too cold. And then winter, of course, I'd want the most snowfall. Um 2019, 2020, we had 6.3 inches. Yeah, that was also the other year that was super quiet. Yeah, this was definitely the least snowiest I've experienced, at least in my years focusing on the weather. That one snowstorm was definitely enjoyable, but I did wish that we had more. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that occurred in some areas where this April would bring more snow than the entire season, at least in some areas, because in areas like Baltimore and Philadelphia, where they experience pretty much a dusting of snow, like it, the the threshold isn't that high to beat what we experienced that season. So that's certainly possible. But we have to wait and see. I'm expecting this spring to be warmer, so it is less likely. But you never know with the weather because we have experienced cooler Marches and Aprils before where they brought more snow than you'd expect. Yeah, I saw Minneapolis has a blizzard warning right now where six to right around 6 to 10 inches is expected, and the winds are expected to be very strong. There's plenty of instability in the Midwest for that to occur. And yeah, that's pretty crazy. Approaching April, and they're experiencing a blizzard warning. That's Minneapolis is a little bit too far north for me to handle. I like the snow, but when it continues on into April, it's a bit too much for me personally. I like the mixture of warm and cold. I prefer a little bit more warm than cold, but as long as it snows, then I'm more than happy with the cold. To be honest. 2016, 2017, I would say that was a slightly above average winter for me here in northern New Jersey. We did experience Winter Storm Nico earlier in February that brought around 8 inches of snow in my area, if I remember correctly. And then we had Winter Storm Stella in March 14th, 2017. And that ended up being a lot. It brought a lot less snow than anticipated, at least for the interior, at least the coastal Northeast, because the low moved a little bit closer to shore than expected. So we got a lot more of a mixing. And I only experienced around 7 inches of snow from Winter Storm Stella, which was definitely lower than the 12 to 24 inches or 18 to 24 inches I was expected in my area. But it was still a relatively active winter for 2016, 2017, but it started very late that winter as well because, yeah, 2016 was and 2017 and early 2017 it was quiet, but then once February hit, it became a little bit more active when Winter Storm I forgot. I just forgot its name. Winter Storm Nico and Winter Storm Stella moved through in February and March. Wow, 0.3 inches of snow in Philadelphia. That's pretty much a dusting at that point with how little snowfall there was. And then in Atlantic City beat the record. That is definitely insane. Unfortunately, how quiet this winter was. But hopefully next winter that changes. Yeah, Winter Storm Nico, Jonathan gave me a similar amount. I received around 8 inches of snow. Stella gave me a lot less than you showed right here. I experienced only around 7 to 8 inches of snow. So definitely a lot lower than what you experienced, but it was still a decent snowstorm, just not as high as anticipated because, of course, the weather forecasts during Winter Storm Stella they were forecasting 18 to 24 inches of snow in my area, if I remember correctly. As the heavier snow was a lot further west, where the areas further southeast where they experienced a lot less since that low tracked closer to the coast than anticipated. Yeah, this winter was definitely so depressing, to be honest. was definitely hoping for a lot more snow. That late February winter storm definitely like saved the winter for me. It was nice seeing that snowfall, and thankfully, also, I did go to upstate New York several times this winter, so I did experience at least my fair share of snow when I went to upstate New York. I went around Cooperstown right around the Christmas time, as well as Albany. And of course, Albany experienced a lot more snow than where I was in northern New Jersey. So I did experience a little bit more my fair share of snow um than what you would have experienced if you just stayed in northern New Jersey. But still, I wanted more snow where I lived. So, guys, if you're just tuning in, you guys are free to ask me anything. Doesn't have to be weather related. I love talking with you guys. Yeah, thank you guys again for tuning in and tuning into a lot of my videos. Yeah, this past 6 months really been good to me when it's been um when it comes to engagement. So I'm super thankful for that. How's my day going? It's been going good. Definitely, it's been going good. I'm still in school. I'm only a part-time student now. I'm close to graduating. May 2024, and that's still a year away. But yeah, I'm a part-time student. Have a lot more free time now. I'm gonna start looking for a job, hopefully in the environmental science field where I'm passionate at to keep busy and to get some experience. But yeah, I'm gonna keep making these weather videos as well. I love making these weather videos for you guys consistently. Um, and yeah, my day's been going good so far. Can't complain at all. Oh, that's nice. Jonathan, what do you plan to study in college? Right now, my major is environmental science. Once I graduate, I plan to get my meteorology degree. Like once I go into graduate school, and hopefully become a meteorologist one day. But I'll keep doing these videos yeah, I don't really have yeah, I'm gonna keep doing these videos at least indefinitely. I don't plan to stop at all. Love making these videos for you guys. It just feels so satisfying to be able to help so many people with my videos. And it feels satisfying to make accurate forecasts as well. That's good, Jonathan. Um, Yeah, definitely just keep grinding. A lot of times it is difficult, especially to study for like something related in the science field. I know for me, the workload is definitely tough when it comes to environmental science and meteorology. Involves a lot of chemistry, a lot of math as well. But yeah, I'm gonna just continue to work, continue to focus, and yeah, it's all going to pay off in the future. That's how I'm looking at it right now. It's going to be 80. Yeah, it's going to be very warm next week. I saw that big warm up going that's expected to go on by next week, which I'm definitely happy for. I want those warm temperatures to come through now. Because if it isn't going to snow, just make the temperatures warm, enjoyable, so I could at least enjoy being outside without being insulated by like 10 different coats I have on. So that's something good to see that temperatures will be warmer as we approach next week. Oh yeah, potentially severe storms on Wednesday. That would make sense because typically when it's this warm this early, there has to be a strong southwesterly wind and pressure gradient. So if it's around the 70s and 80 degrees in the early spring, it's typically very humid because there should be a low pressure that's forcing those southerly winds further northward for the temperature to be that warm. So it makes sense why yeah, there will be severe weather by next week associated with those very warm temperatures. So we're gonna need to pay close attention to that. The severe, but the worst of severe weather, I would say, doesn't really occur until later during the spring. Once the temperatures really get warm enough in the northeast, it happens a little bit earlier in the southeast and the Midwest because the temperatures warm up faster than they do in the northeast and the Northeast also is very close to the ocean. And the ocean, of course, takes a lot longer to warm up than the surface. So that does play a role in stabilizing the atmosphere for a little bit. There's a bit of a lag when it comes to instability in the Northeast. So the worst of severe weather doesn't occur until late spring into the early summer. So but still, we need to pay close attention to this potential severe weather by next week because it also could happen any time of the year, even in early spring. Am I heading back to DR or LA anytime soon? I definitely hope I will soon. Yeah, I haven't made definitive plans just yet. I'm hoping to return to LA by this summer. Hopefully I'll be able to find time to, of course, find the money to be able to travel there this summer. I'm gonna definitely need to but yeah, I'm definitely just like focused on trying to get back to LA because I love it over there as well as the DR. So we'll see if so yeah, I'm just like I'm gonna see like how things turn out by the time we approach summer. But yeah, I definitely hope to go back soon because I love the DR and Los Angeles. Two of my favorite places, in my opinion. Which is worse, tornadoes or supercells? So, supercells, it depends. Supercells definitely have a larger scope when it comes to impact, because of course the supercell thunderstorm could elongate over hundreds of miles, sometimes, while a tornado, at worst, it'll at worst a tornado will be around a mile to a little bit over a mile when it comes to sheer size. Of course, but a tornado could move through several different towns before dissipating, but um, so it depends. Definitely like you definitely would rather experience a supercell than the heart of a tornado, but in general, a supercell thunderstorm, the impacts tend to be a little bit more broad. So, in terms of just sheer impact, if you're in the heart of both, a tornado is definitely worse. But when it comes to the scope and the amount of people it impacts, I'll say a supercell thunderstorm is worse when it comes to overall damage. That is true. We might get some severe storms tomorrow, but again, the instability won't be there as it will be once that is existing in the Midwest because the jet stream will sort of stabilize a little bit, and there won't be as much cold air moving towards the northeast. So the severe weather won't be as impactful as the Midwest, but there's still that possibility tomorrow. So keep that in mind as well. I'll say the probability of a thunderstorm is lower. I'll say for you um for the Poconos and Northeast, the chance is probably a 3 out of 10 you'll experience a severe thunderstorm tomorrow. So it's on the lower chance, but there's still that possibility. Tornado warnings are definitely scary. So in my lifetime, I think I only experienced one tornado warning, maybe two. I think, but I definitively remember experiencing one tornado warning. It occurred on July 23rd, 2010. So almost 13 years ago in New Jersey. And yeah, a tornado warning was issued for my area. So I hunkered down in the basement of my house. Thankfully, no tornadoes occurred. But yeah, it was definitely a scary experience being under a tornado warning. And thankfully, in general, and that was the same day New York City also got a tornado warning. So, but thankfully, no tornado developed. And it's harder in Northeast because, like I said, the instability a lot of times isn't there. And I also feel like in my area, I'm a little bit more elevated. So, and there's a lot of hills and mountains in my area. So, a lot of tornadoes would struggle with all that friction on surface to really get to really get a powerful tornado going, but it's still certainly very possible. But thankfully, no tornado impacted my area. Oh yeah, the heat waves in 2010, 2011, 2012, they were all insane. We had temperatures well over the hundreds a lot of those days. And even just last year in August 2022, that was a very, very hot summer. That was a very hot month. I think one of the hottest months in history for the United States, where it was just hovering around, it felt like around 95 for almost every day that August. That was a super hot summer. Oh wow. Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. When exactly a year ago did that happen? Was that during Hurricane Ida or just a random because I know during Hurricane Ida there was also a tornado that impacted right around the border of Pennsylvania and New Jersey. But yeah, that's insane that like tornadoes could develop that powerful in the Northeast. Okay, July 29th, 2021. So that was do I okay, I don't remember that day because I wasn't in New Jersey in July 29th. I was in the Dominican Republic, so I probably didn't hear about it. But yeah, that's insane. Oh man, Jonathan, that's definitely scary. But 63 miles per hour, that's a pretty strong wind gust as well. But yeah, just the fact that you could be in the path of a tornado, yeah, that's definitely super scary. Oh, just that car dealership got destroyed. That's definitely weird. So yeah, that's super weird. Maybe it was one of those short-lived tornadoes, or maybe the tornado just went through areas that it just avoided everything but the car dealership. That's definitely weird, but I'd expect it from a northeast tornado, something that is shorter lived, that impacts more of an isolated area. But yeah, just a car dealership, yeah, that is pretty weird that it only impacted that specific building. Which is better, heat waves or cool downs? So for me, heat waves definitely are way better for me because I've always preferred the heat over the cold. Yeah, I can't take the cold. The cold gives me goosebumps and it feels way more uncomfortable than even sweltering in the heat. And since I'm a huge beach person, the heat waves only give me an excuse to enjoy the beach and go to the beach. But cool downs, I can't really do that with. So yeah, I definitely prefer heat waves much more than cool downs. That is true that August always seems to be feels like it's always been the warmest month of the year. Like it's very rare that happens in June. And in fact, I feel like the several more recent Junes always felt cooler than it should be. Like it'll be hovering around the 70s and I'm like I didn't wait 10 months just for the summer just for the temperatures of fall to still be in the 70s. So I'm definitely um so hopefully like the weather warms up really quick because I'm ready for the summer. I definitely do miss the summer. In my opinion, I want an above average summer all year round. I love the heat. I could take the heat so easily to be honest. But the humidity, it does become a little bit too much, not too humid at the same time. I've been in the south in the summer, and yeah, the southeast in the summer, that's a whole different level of way too humid. Yeah, I don't want that, but I'd at least like prefer above average temperatures for the most part this winter. How's it going, Corey? Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, I love the heat, but just not the humidity. The humidity makes it impossible to go outside. That's why I think the best time to go to visit the southeast is during the spring and the fall when it's not too cold, but at the same time not unbearably humid and warm because it's the southeast is super bad in the summer when it comes to humidity and heat. How much snow will the Twin Cities get? So the Twin Cities should experience around 6 to 8 inches of snow. And expect blizzard conditions and wind gusts could occasionally gust over 50 miles per hour. So make sure to it's definitely not recommended to travel this because yeah this blizzard warning is issued for the Twin Cities at this point, but for the most part you should expect anywhere between 6 to 8 inches of snow. Yeah, Las Vegas definitely is the perfect type of heat. I went to the desert. I went to Palm Springs, California, right around May 2022, which is a desert area in California, and I think the temperature was hovering around 95 degrees, but it felt super good to be honest. The humidity was so low, it didn't feel like 95 at all. It really felt like it was in the low 80s that day. Like the humid without the humidity, 95 feels like nothing. When I went to the desert, that was the perfect type of heat, in my opinion. So I'll say in April for Connecticut, the average temperatures, at least high temperatures, should be hovering in the low 60s. So it depends on the day. I think it will be good enough for an outdoor event, but you at least might need a lighter jacket. But I think it could easily be an outdoor event. To be honest, it will be warm enough at that point. It most likely it'll hover around the low 60s in Connecticut on the weekend of April 22nd and April 23rd. November definitely has a possibility of bringing major East Coast snowstorms. I remember we had one big one. I forgot the exact name of that winter storm, but it was one of the earlier winter storms in the United States. It happened November 15th, 2018, and I think that might have been the worst snowstorm, at least when it came to traffic I've ever seen, because there was like that point right in the middle of the heart of rush hour for like 1 to 2 hours where the snowfall rates had to be like 2 to 3 inches per hour, and so many cars were trapped. And also, it was another one of those storms where a lot of people weren't that prepared because the forecasts started forecasting snow very late, and also people were skeptical that, and it exceeded even like the computer model's expectations when it came to snowfall. So yeah, the rush hour was just super bad. I had to drive to work that day. Took 15-minute drive to work took like 2 hours, um and for my cousin who worked at right around central New Jersey, a 1 hour, 30-minute commute from work took him 9 hours to get home that day during that snowstorm. That was that was definitely one of the worst snowstorms, at least when it came to traffic I've ever experienced in my life. And it didn't even dump that much total snowfall. It only dumped 6 inches of snow, but those 6 inches of snow fell at a super quick clip. So yeah, it was definitely very bad. Yeah, Winter Storm Avery. Now I'll remember the name. So my school actually, I don't think got an early dismissal on the 15th, but on the 16th, school was completely closed. It was initially supposed to be a delayed opening, but literally that morning we had like the backside of the storm bring another heavy snow ban, and they just decided to cancel school that day. But yeah, definitely one of the worst snowstorms when it came to traffic because it was so unexpected. So, a major snowstorm in Minnesota in April. So, there is a possibility of a major snowstorm impacting you guys by next week. It's going to be difficult to say whether it'll be over a foot of snow or not, but I do expect that there will be maybe one or two more snowstorms for Minnesota this year, since the pattern is shaping up to be that way. So, I'm not sure if Minnesota will experience, let's say, over a foot of snow, but I do expect two, maybe two more significant snowstorms for Minnesota. All right, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. It's starting to get late. I'm gonna need to sleep pretty soon. But I thank you guys for this discussion. I love talking with you guys. Um, and yeah, thank you guys for watching. As yeah, I'm probably gonna go sleep soon. It's getting a little bit late trying to fix my sleep schedule as well. I hope you guys all have a good night. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. I love talking with you guys. And yeah, guys, thank you guys for watching and have a great night.